All right, gamers, welcome. It is time for set 4 to release in the global side, and on top of set 4's release on the global side, you guys are also getting playmats. We still, at the time of recording this, which is 9 p.m. on the 28th of February, we still don't know if we're getting them in JP yet. But for the time being, Global can rejoice as you have playmats in Zero, which is something I've been asking for the last 2 years. So I'm very glad about that. I'm very glad about that implementation, and I hope that we get it too. But of course, that's not the point of today's video. Today's video is about the upcoming set and breaking down the cards. And of course, we have Twitch chat here with us as well to accompany and, you know, just talk about cards together as we do. Normally I record these offline, but I guess, you know, just thought I would incorporate chat as well. So chat, when I'm talking about cards, if you want to add your little takes and your little opinions on the cards that we go over, feel free to do that. So we're going to start off with Royals. So Royals basically got a good little bit of cards. First things first, there is a new starter actually, which is this little doggo. So this doggo says his jump goal, he do be jumping. GB1 front row rearguard circle. If you have 2 or more other grade 1 or lower rearguards, this unit gets plus 5k power and he can intercept. Not too bad. Not too bad. Not too bad, right? Not what the dog doing, he do be intercepting, right? It's the only thing is, of course, you have to have like basic, quite like, you know, almost your full back row has to be grade 1s, but he's really not that bad. He's really not that bad. But taking a look at the actual royal cards in this set, though, there's quite a lot of good stuff, right? We just did the ultimate deck and fight, but I'll break down the other things that are in this set. We have this Battlesong Angel, which is a grade 1 that says GB1. If you have 2 or more other grade 1 or less rear guards, he gets plus 2k power and resist. So you basically need to have 3 grade 1s total or more in order to give him the resist and the plus 2, but this is nice. Like the 9k makes really good numbers with 12k attackers, and on top of that, the resist, of course, is cool because, you know, Vanquisher kind of, you know, doesn't get to pop it and all those kind of things. Like it's nice. It's nice. We like resist in any deck. I think it's always going to be nice. We also have the Miron, which is when placed from deck on rearguard circle, Solas 1 draw card. Like this card was pretty big back in the day in Sanctuary Guard, where you would be able to, like, there's a grade 2 that calls out 6k power grade 1s, and you essentially get to, you know, Soul Boss 1 and call out, which is very nice. A really good addition to Allmal is the Benizel. So Benizel is a GB1 rearguard circle when placed on rear. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Alt Mile, you can almost 1 Soul Boss 1 and then search your deck for a grade 2 that is not Benizel, and then this unit gets plus 2k. So he gets plus 2k, not the thing you call. So keep in mind that that's how that works. I've made the mistake before thinking the thing I call gets plus 2k, and you know, this card is really, really good because of course you can make nice combos off of anything that calls mid-battle, where then you can basically call on like another card, or like the grade 2 that counts the grade 1, or like the, I mean, yeah, the, you know, the grade 2 that can boost, things like that. So Benizel is very nice. Benizel is very, very nice, and you know, it's just a good card. Then we have this guy, which is a Sanctuary Guard support. So if your Vanguard is a Sanctuary Guard, during your turn it's an 11k attacker, and rearguard circle when placed. If your Vanguard is a Sanctuary Guard, you can count almost 2, search your deck for a grade 1 or lower and call it. So it's a bit expensive for what it does, but it's Then we have this Jewel Knight, who says during your opponent's turn, if you have 4 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, he gets plus 5k. So 14k Interceptor. It's a pretty old card, if I remember correctly, so it's nice that this got implemented. Then we have the Jedo. So GB1 rearguard circle, when they attack, it's a Vanguard, given the rearguard plus 5k. Not really something I would recommend playing. We have another grade 3 Sanctuary Guard, which is the Sanctuary Guard Arc. GB2, during your turn, for all of your grade 1 or lower rear guards get plus 5k power. So it's just a whole field buff, which is very nice. And when you stride a Sanctuary Guard card, discard 1, search your deck for grade 1 or lower and call it, and then this unit and that unit, or that unit and your Vanguard rather, get plus 3k power. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So moving on. We have this little guy. So this was like, some people run this as like a backup grade 3 in Altmile, but it's not really that good, to be honest. But he says Vanguard Circle GB1, when he attacks the Vanguard, can almost 1 Soul Boss 1, and then search your deck for a grade 1 and, for grade 2, sorry, and call it. So you can't try to make use of this, but it is all right, I guess. And then, of course, Vanguard Circle, when placed, Soul Blast 1, call a card from your hand, and then one of your units gets plus 5k. So I don't think it's really good enough to be played as a backup, but I guess some people would argue. And then we have Sanctuary Guard Guarantee. GB1 Vanguard Circle attacks the Vanguard for that battle. For each of your grade 1 or lower rear guards, he gets plus 3k power. And when he attacks on rear guard circle, count plus 1, gain 3k. So not really good, but he's a Sanctuary Guard if you want to make your deck full-on Sanctuary Guard. Then we have the Jewel Knight critical trigger. So this one says, at the end of your turn on rearguard circle, if your Vanguard is a Jewel Knight, if you have 4 more Jewel Knight rearguards, you can draw 1 and then put this card back to your deck. So it keeps the crits in your deck, it replaces itself by letting you draw. It's okay, but maybe when Jewel Knights get their Fighters Collection support. Then, of course, the GR is Mr. Absmile, Aerial Divine Knight Ultmile. So this card is actually really nice. A recommended 4 of, if you can afford it, but if not, 2 of is fine. As you've seen, I've been quite okay with just 2. So he says, Vanguard Circle, all of your front row units get plus 3k. So that's important because that makes magic numbers. Then, GB2, when placed on Vanguard Circle, G Persona Blast, call a grade 2 from your deck, and then that unit gets plus 5k. So he essentially allows you to tech out whatever you want. You need a Blaster Spirit, you call a Blaster Spirit. You need a Twin Sword, call a Twin Sword. You need a Benizil, call a Benizil. Like, virtually anything. So he's good. Just for the toolboxing, he's good, and he gets kind of like supported in the future as well, which is nice. And then finally we have the Sanctuary Guard Shrine, which is the Sanctuary Guard Imperial. So he says, once per turn, if your heart is a Sanctuary Guard, count lost 1, and then for that turn, you can choose one of your grade 1 or lower rear guards and give it the following 2 abilities. First one is, for each of your grade 1 or lower rear guards, that rear guard gets plus 3k power, so it gets a huge power buff, and when the attack hits a Vanguard, so when that grade 1 hits a Vanguard, for that turn, your Vanguard gets plus 10k in a crit. So CB1 for a big power up, as well as, you know, an extra crit to your Vanguard is pretty good. I would say it's pretty damn spicy. So that's the Royals. Pretty good support set, to be honest. It's not a lot of cards, but, you know, it's honest work. But yeah, it's definitely quite nice, and overall just a powerful support. And of course, Royals are getting even more support in set 6, so it's not going to be a long wait either. All right, so moving on to Shadows, we do have one new starter, which is the Nessa. GB1, when retired by a cost, can lost 1 for that turn, give your Vanguard plus 5k and the following ability. When the attack is a Vanguard, choose an opponent's rear guard and retire it. So it's not really that good, not as good as the existing starters, to be honest, for Shadows, and I think is not really worth even considering to play it for the time being. I don't really see much use. There is a new type of PG that gets added in this set, which the Nemain is like the, or the Nevan is the only one that is that type of PG. So they're triple rare PGs, which is a little bit yikes for the future when you think about, you know, quite a few important PGs being triple rares in the future. And it says, in hand, when your Vanguard would be hit, if you would lose if you don't guard, this works as a perfect guard. And then, if you have another copy of herself in your drop zone, you can draw 1, but then at the beginning of your next turn, discard 1. The one kind of redeeming factor about this is that the extra draw could mean you draw into another PG that can be used immediately after. So because you don't discard until the start of your next turn, there's a chance that you can just, like, you know, this is the last card in your hand, you PG with it, and then you draw into another PG that survives you the turn, and then you, next turn, you have to discard the thing you draw. I think that's, you draw first, I think, or does this resolve first? I'm not too sure. But yeah, like, this means Esras is probably going to be a triple rare, and like, we're getting the Kagero triple rare PG probably as well, the Airmo from the Legend deck, so that's on the table now, which is not the direction I want to go in, but generally speaking, this is not as good as the countercharging PG, so it's not really worth playing, in my opinion. If you're a Claret player, you're gonna like this guy, the Abyss Summoner. GB1 once per turn, when your other rearguard is retired by a cost, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Claret Sword in its name, countercharge 1, and then give this unit plus 3k. So 10k booster plus countercharger is very good for Claret. This guy is GB1 on rear. When placed, your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Claret Sword, then for that turn, your Vanguard and this unit get plus 3k. So this guy isn't that great, but he combos off of something that we'll talk about later. Then we have the Konvar, GB1, when your grade 0 rearguard is placed, for that turn this unit gets plus 3k. It's okay, it's somewhat useful, but the grade 2 version of this, the man behind, is the one that is more useful. Then we have this 6k grade 1. When it boosts, if you have less rearguards than your opponent, then it's a 10k booster, which is all right. Then we have the Blaster Daggers. Some Blaster support is in this set. When it boosts a Blaster, if your Vanguard is a Blaster, Soul Blast 1, gain 5k. So 11k booster, not really worth it, but it's alright. Then we have the Cat for Witches. When placed on rear, if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, you can discard a Witch to draw 2. This is a main, but it's a grade 1 with no counterblast cost. That's pretty good. Like, it requires your opponent to have grade 0s on the board, which of course means you've had to use your witch skills, but it's a good little cat. It's a good little cat. Then we have the Dark Pride Dragon. So GB1, when retired by a cost, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Claret Sword, then you can search your deck for a Dark Quartz Dragon, which is the grade 1 we looked at earlier, and call it, and for that turn that unit gets plus 3k, and if you called it, you countercharge. So it's literally countercharge that calls this guy out, and you guys remember when this guy gets called out, he gets plus 3k, so he's a 13k in total, right? So the combo is kind of nice. It gets you 4th attack in Claret, but you lose an intercept in the process, so I don't really like that too much. We got more witch support with the Adora. So during your turn, if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, then she gets plus 2k, so she's an MK attacker. And when her attack hits a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a witch, countercharge 1. Curse Lancer isn't no longer necessary. It's now another witch that you can again discard off of this, which is pretty good. Pretty good. Then we have the Blaster Rapier, GB1 Rearguard Circle. When the attack hits a Vanguard, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 greater Blaster, counterblast 1, and search your deck for grade 1 or lower and call it. So it searches for any grade 1 or lower, which is pretty good, especially going to set 6. There's some pretty good support in there for grade 1s, let's say. So this could be used because, of course, there's a Blaster Stride, of course, with Phantom Blaster Diablo and Spectral Blaster Diablo. Then we have a 10k Vanilla for Blasters as well. Then we have the Gron. So Gron is a GB1 that says when your grade 1 or lower rearguard is placed for that turn, this unit gets plus 3k. So I run this in Claret. I think where you spam grade 1s in decks like that, you can make power lines that just get over defensives really easily. So I think it's pretty good for that. We have the Maclear grade 2, which says during your opponent's turn, if you have 1 or less rear guards in your back row, then he gets plus 5k, so 14k intercept. Then we have the Death Spray Dragon that came a little bit early. So Vanguard Rearguard Circle, GB1, at the end of the battle that attacked the Vanguard, counterblast 1, retire one of your own rear guards, and then choose an opponent's rear guard and retire it. This isn't too bad. Against some matchups, there are some pesky targets in the back row that you want to take out, and sometimes, like, you know, if you're playing against duos and they heal out of a Roan or something, and then, you know, like they only had 1 damage or whatever, like this can come up. Like there are times when you can just snipe annoying targets like Dorans if Revengers are still around, and, like, you know, against Messiahs you can snipe the Awakings in the back row. So I think it's a good card. I think he's a good little generic grade 3. Then we have the Gilvaes. I can't remember what it was in English. So GB1, not GB2, GB1 on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, pop 2 of your own rearguards to gain 5k in the following ability. When the attack hits a Vanguard, you choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards and retire them. So it's not really that great because you don't get to snipe intercepts. You pop their back row, which is okay because it doesn't cost combos, but you have to, you know, get rid of your David, for example, for this, which is, I guess, a budget deck. And when you stride over him, then the Vanguard gets plus 5k. So it's a little budget deck, which I guess is fine. Then we have a Crit for Witches, who says if your opponent has 2 or more grade 0 rear guards, put her back to the deck and then choose an opponent's Vanguard and give it minus 5k. No cost. Just like that. Put a crit back to deck and minus 5k to the Vanguard. Pretty good. And finally, of course, the GR in this set for Shadows is Aura Geyser Doomed. So this card is really good. It is a generic retire, essentially, for both, you know, not just Claret, but also just every Shadow deck in existence. So GB2 once per turn. Sadly, it's GB2 now. It's, you know, Aura Geyser itself can be first ridden, but this cannot be first ridden anymore. So GB2 once per turn, counterblast 1. Flip any G unit face up and retire 3 of your own rear guards in the main phase, by the way. And then reveal the top 2 cards of your deck and add them to your hand. If you have 1 or more face up Aura Geyser Dragons in your G zone, then for every grade 1 or lower that you revealed from the top of your deck, you choose an opponent's rear guard and retire it. If you have 3 or more Aura Geyser Dragons face up in your G zone, then this unit gets a crit. So you basically go into Aura Geyser Dragon, first stride, get your cards, and then go into the second stride, flip your other Aura Geyser, and then bada bing bada boom, you get yourself an extra crit while also popping your opponent's intercepts if you get lucky. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Shadow's got some good support in this set as well. Like, basically made Claret playable, and I guess that's about it. Like, Diablo's got some new tools, Blaster's got some new tools, Revengers are already good, so they didn't really need any new tools, so that's kind of on its own there. Moving on, though, we have Angel Feather, and we're going to be here for a little bit. It's not that much, but this is definitely the clan that I was most looking forward to. Of course, we do have a new starter in the beautiful Azrairu. So she has GB1, Rearguard Circle, Calmost 1, put it to Soul, and then put the top card of your deck into your damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and add it to your hand. If you added a face down, then the card you put also goes face down. And then, of course, it cannot be retired by your opponent's card effect. So, sadly, she's not as good as she was in the TCG. She was like kind of a counter charger there as well, whereas now it like forces the face down, which is a little bit sad, to be honest, a little bit sad. But even then, the starter is really, really good, and I think that everyone does appreciate the starter for what it is. And most people technically don't run it because, like, even though it's a good starter, it's still not as good as Sunny Smile Angel, which is literally a 5th heal in your deck. So there's that. Looking at the grade 1s here, we have this one, the Doctoroid Primas, which some people run as like a 1-of. In a damage zone, she has a GB1. When your rearguard is placed from your damage zone that is not herself, you can Calmost 2 and call this card, and then put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. If she was called from face down, the card you put also goes face down. So she's kind of like a Danielle, but as a grade 1. So if you need that kind of tech, then you can play it, and if not, I generally don't really like it. I think it's too Calmost expensive. Then we have Celestial support, so Rearguard Circle will be placed if your Vanguard is a Celestial, and you can search your deck for a card that is the same name as your Vanguard and put it into your damage zone, and if you did, heal one. So it sets up your Celestial conditions, which is pretty good, but you naturally set them up anyway, so I don't think it's really that necessary. Like, you can just put them from your hand into the damage zone, or like damage them. So yeah, this horse tries his best, but he's not really that necessary right here. This card is played, the Nurse of Smash Heart. Very nice name. She was played a lot in the TCG too, but she's played in Zero as well. Once per turn, Rearguard Circle. During your turn, if a card is put from your damage zone into your drop zone, you can Soul Blast one and then draw one. It's quite good. Quite good. It's a free draw. We like that. Just make sure you don't deck out. Then we have 8k vanilla, of course, because it's the first time that angels get support. This doggo that says GB1 when it boosts for that battle. For every face down card in your damage zone get plus 1k, or is it face up? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's face up. So for every face up card in your damage zone gets plus 1k. So good doggo. I mean, it's not really that good, to be honest. It's decent. Stride Fodder and PG, don't need to go over that. Like, it's the same as usual. Harut is probably the MVP. This is probably one of the best cards in this set for Angels, period. So Harut says GB1 when text the Vanguard while being boosted, Calmost 1. Look at top 3 cards of your deck, put one of them into your damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and call it. If you call it face down, the card you put also goes face down. So this card is just insane. This card is insane. It gives you the multi-attack. You have plenty of front row power up in Angels as well, whether it's through Gavriel or through Celestial Legion. So she's just good. She literally gives you CB1 extender, which is very nice. Then we have the Medical Bomber Nurse. Damage zone GB1. If a rearguard is placed in your damage zone that is not herself, Calmost 2, call her and put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. If you called her from face down, the card you would also goes face down. So if you don't have Danielle's because she's a triple rare, that's an alternative. You have a double rare alternative that makes it a bit easier to build this deck. So I think it's pretty good, but not the optimal card to be played in that slot, but it's okay. It's fine. Nurse of Broken Heart, sadly, is not that broken in Zero. GB1, when a card is put into your damage zone for that turn, both her and your Vanguard get plus 2k. So the tech is to kind of play her behind your Vanguard or like in the back row, and then even if you get damaged, your Vanguard increases its power by a lot, especially with Gavriel's GB2. This is like 4k to 6k to 8k per damage check, which is, I mean, it's nice, but as an intercept, you won't be doing much, basically. That's the reality of it. Then we have this funny little horse, Dreamlight Unicorn. This leads to some funny moments, let's say. So let me first hype you up. It's an 8k grade 2, but it has resist. Oh my god, resist. That's crazy. Resist is so busted. That's insane. But it has the following effect. Rearguard Circle, when placed on rear, Calmost 2, and heal 1. Heal 1, oh my god, Calmost 2 to heal 1, that's insane. But then it says, Rearguard Circle, when removed from the Rearguard Circle, so whether it's like bound or retired, you know, if it's removed, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone. Put put the top card into your damage zone. No ifs, no buts, put it right there. So funnily enough, if you don't use the first skill, it literally costs you damage. Like, this was funny. Like, obviously in the TCG, this is kind of like cool to get around like damage deny, I guess, but what you can do, I guess, in some matchups is call it behind the Vanguard, and then it's just chilling there, right? You just healed one for CB2, but then freaking, you know, Chronojet comes in with Upheaval Pegasus, and it's like, oh shit, you know, so gotta be a little bit careful. The resist is cool, but there are ways to get around it, but it's a funny little heal horse. So then we have more Celestial support. This one says, when your card is put into damage zone, if you Vanguard Celestial, for that turn, this unit gets plus 2k. And if you have a card in your damage zone that has the same name as your Vanguard, for that turn, your Vanguard gets plus 2k. Her art is really nice, but she's not good. I'll just say it upright. Then this is, ooh, Armighty. TCG players, especially V series players, should know Armighty pretty well. This card was very good back then. So 8k power grade 2, and he says, if you have a card in your damage zone that is the same name as your Vanguard, then if you don't have any front row rear guards, this unit gets plus 8k and it can attack from the back row. So you give up intercept for a back row 16k attacker, which isn't really worth it, but funnily enough, he was a Celestial. He was a Celestial. Very interesting. We have this one who's like a BTO6 card that finally came out in 0, who says during your opponent's turn gains 5k, so 13k interceptor. Then we got the, almost said Malkuth, Metatron supports. This is the Crimson Roar Metatron, who says Limit Break 4, yeah, Limit Break. Once per turn, put a rear guard into your damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and call it. And then if you have the original Metatron, like the previous Metatron, in your soul, for that turn, this unit gets plus 3k and the following ability. When the attack is a Vanguard, counterblast 1, and put this unit... Oh, sorry, it's not that she gets the ability, but the unit that you called through her effect gets plus 3k and the ability that when that unit's attack hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 1 and then put that unit into the damage zone and then choose a card from your damage zone and add it to your hand. And then if you added a face down, then the card that you put from your rearguard circle also goes face down. And then once per turn, put a rearguard to your soul, and then choose a card from your soul, put it into your damage zone, and then call a card from your damage zone. If you call the face down, then the card you put goes also face down. So it's kind of a shame. Like, the whole reason you used Metatron back then was because she allowed you to kind of countercharge, whereas now it doesn't, which is like, I don't know. I mean, the deck is still, Angels are still amazing even with the nerf, but, you know, it's a little bit sad. Don't be, like, scared by my 3 Gavriels. Just not showing my rank rewards. That's all. So, Gavriel, my wife, literally the best female Vanguard unit ever created. Oh my god. He has quite a few good skills. GB2. When your card is put into the damage zone, for that turn, gain the following ability. All of your front row units get plus 2k power. So every time you put a damage by your own effects in your turn, that works. But during your opponent's turn, when you take a damage by your opponent attacking, your front row also gets plus 2k, which is also very nice. So we like that. And then most importantly, when you stride over her, you can counterblast 1 and look at the top 3 of your deck, put 1 into the damage zone, and then choose a card from your damage zone and call it. And if you call the face down, the card you put also goes face down. And of course, she has a plus 3k when placed. So you mainly use her for the stride skill because it's really good to just like get a card out. But of course, it leads the deck out, so keep that in mind. But the front row buff is very, very appreciated. Like, honestly, it's, in my opinion, kind of underlooked how nice it is. You can go into Blitza to flip face up and go into your GB2 immediately. We'll go over that in a bit. I think it's really, really nice. So Gavriel, 10 out of 10 in my books. Okay, so moving on, we have this Hospital. GB1, when attack is a Vanguard on Van or Rearguard Circle, counterblast 1, look at top 3, put 1 into damage, and then call 1. If you call the face down, then it goes face down. So it's kind of like a Harut, but on grade 3. Not sure if it's worth running though, like the grade 3 space is really tight, so yeah. This is the crit for Gavriel that does the usual crit stuff. We have a Celestial crit that says, in the damage zone, if you Vanguard Celestial, you can put this card back to your deck, and then look at top 3, put 1 into the damage zone, and then put the rest into your drop zone. So it fuels Legion, and if the card you put is face down, then like if this card that was put as a cost was face down at the time of being put back to the deck, then the card you put from the damage zone also goes face down. So it never lets you get a counter charge. It's crazy. But overall, this is all right. Like, it's, you don't really need to aggressively set up drop zone for Legion though. Like, it's not, this ain't the TCG, man. It's fine. Then of course the big man himself, Mr. Doctoroid Refross. Yeah, this card got nerfed, and for good reason, because it's been restricted to 1 in the TCG ever since. It says now in 0, GB1, count must 1, put this back to your deck, choose a card from your damage zone and put it back to your deck, and then put the top card of your deck into your damage zone and then draw 1. If, and this card can only be used by the same name unit once per turn. So instead of putting 2 cards from damage zone, it puts 1, and it is a hard once per turn. At least it countercharges. At least it countercharges, because you count plus 1 and then put any damage back, and he doesn't force face down. He is a countercharge, but man, they were rough on my mans. They did not let you spam him, but I understand. That's the only way to do it, is having it be named once per turn. Then for the remaining strides, we have the Raziel. So when placed in Vanguard Circle, Soul Blast 2, put all of your damage zone back to your deck, and then for every card you put back, you put the top card of your deck into your damage zone, face up. Pretty good. CB1 to CC1, true. You draw though, and you get your power-ups, right? But yeah, Raziel's really good because of the mass countercharge. You Soul Blast 2, and then you literally can put all of your face down damage back, and then get 5 fresh. So it's very, very nice. It's like Professor's Research in Pokemon almost, except not really. So Raziel's good. It's running like a 1 or 2 of basically in most Gavril G zones. And then Raphael, which is going to be either 2 or 4 of, depending on how committed you are to Angels. If you're an Angel main, I would say get 4. You will not regret it, but if you are not and you're just playing this for a tournament, 2 is okay. We've seen people have quite a lot of success with just 2, so it's fine. Skill is very simple. GB2 once per turn, G Persona Blast, heal 1. So if you play 4, you have up to 7 heals per deck because of your Sunny Smile. So Angels are very good in this set, together with the Final Selection support. I think I didn't say, like, for Shadows when I was talking about the GRs, I think Claret, like, Aura Guys are doomed. Is he like a 1 or a 2 of? I think like 2 is fine, because usually what I do is like go into Aura Guys or Dragon, and then I go Doomed. So you basically flip through all of them in your G zone. But 1 is perfectly fine, and 2 is optimal. So that's the T, I guess, on those. Moving forward, though, I think we do have more Try 3 clans to take a look at, so let's move along. Psych, just kidding. We have Link Joker to look at first. I got a whole total of 8 cards of support. So we have the Dark Metal Chameleon, who has Resist as a grade 1, which is cool. Then GB1 Rearguard Circle. During your turn, when this card is unlocked, countercharge 1. It's alright, but we already have like the grade 1 Messiah that countercharges, so it's not really worth it. Like, that grade 1 Messiah came out much later than the Chameleon did in the TCG, so it's kind of weird that they like swap their positions. It's kind of weird. Then we have a Deleter support. This grade 1 says when it boosts an attack, it's a Vanguard. If your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, Soul Blast 2, draw 1. It's not a bad way to use your soul, so I think it's a pretty alright grade 1. I really like this Lady Battler. I personally wanted to use her, but I'm surprised that she's not used much. She's like I think she's the grade 3 searcher in the V series. So GB1, when she boosts, if you can unlock one of your locked cards, and if you did, this unit gets plus 4k. So an on boost unlock I feel like was cool for combos and whatnot, but I guess like on attack unlocks are a bit better, so it makes sense. Then we have a new Deleter grade 3, which is the Chaos? It's like Chaos, right? That's what it's called, but it's not really Chaos, it's like weirdly spelled Chaos. When placed on Vanguard Circle, count plus 2 and discard 2 Deleters. And then your opponent's Vanguard gets deleted, and you choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards and lock them. So it's a pretty hefty cost, right? CB2 and discard 2 is kind of heavy, but delete plus lock 2? It's kind of nice. Yeah, as Federico said, it's chaos. So it's not a bad card. It gives good support to deleters, in my opinion, just because it's also like a surprise factor if they don't prepare for it. So it's a good card. And of course, in text, the Vanguard gets plus 3k, which you don't really use that. Kiosk, yeah, that's his real name. We have this one, like this card's one is one of the Messiahs, the new Lady Battler. GB1, when she attacks and hits the Vanguard, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Messiah, you can lock one of your other rear guards to then lock one of your opponent's rear guards, but it's a soft lock, so it unlocks at the start of their battle phase. So she's alright as like a one-of. We have a Deleter Stand, which is pretty good. When placed on Rearguard Circle, if your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, Soul Blast 1, draw a card. It's nice because you can call it, draw, and then pop it for your like retire, like the deleters that self-retire and stuff, so it's not bad, and then you can Legion it back afterwards. And finally, the GR for Messiahs is Exilix Messiah. So this is a good stride, but some people do run 0 of it. So it's a GB2 and attacks the Vanguard, counterblast 1 and flip any unit face up, and then you can unlock any number of lock cards. For that turn, all of your unlocked cards get plus 3k. But if you have 2 or more face up Amnesty Messiahs in your G zone, all of your opponent's unlocked cards by this effect get retired, and if you unlock 3 or more, he gets a crit. So it's literally a better Amnesty Messiah. You only really need to play 2 Amnesty Messiahs because you essentially can like first stride it or first stride blitz it to flip 1, and then second stride into Exilix to essentially like, you know, flip the second one face up so you get the retire skill online, and then you can even stride into a second Exilix and flip anything, and you still have 2 face up amnesties in your G zone, so you can still get the retire off. So you don't actually need to run 3 amnesty messiahs. For Exilix, I think it's a 1 or a 2 of, personally speaking. I think it's really strong for the retire, like that way you actually annoy them. It's like, haha, you won't be seeing these rear guards again. And getting a full board retire for like counterblast 1 is pretty good. So yeah, I think it's a good stride. It's a 1 will service you just fine, but 2 of, I think, will take you the extra mile, but not all Messiah variants run it. So be careful if you're investing into this. Like if you're debating crafting it, really think about which variant of Messiahs you want to run, because the combo variant doesn't necessarily need it. You go into the 5 selection double rest stride a lot more than that. And so that takes us over from Link Joker to Gear Chronicles. Of course, one of the main clans of support. We got a full page of support for gears. No new starter for, no, there is a 1 new starter actually. 1 new starter for gears, so we can take a look at it real quick, which is this little guy here. So he says GB1, you can put him to Soul, and then for that turn give you Vanguard plus 5k and the following ability. When the attack hits a Vanguard, you can choose an opponent's rear guard and put it to the bottom of the deck. He's not really good. He's not really good. I think you're still going to be playing the Grade 3 Searcher until we get TikTok Worker or Chrono Dran, in my opinion. So not really worth it, but let's talk about the actual good stuff in this set. So getting into gears, we have quite a lot of nice things. First things first, we have Steam Fighter Urunigin. So he has a skill that says Rear Circle GB1 once per turn during your main phase. Very important piece of text. During your main phase only. If your opponent's rear guard is put back to their deck by your card's ability, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater Chronojet, countercharge 1. So this will not proc off of you using Chronojet's strike skill. This has to be used off of like a Glimmer Breath or the grade 2 that's like CB2, bot deck something. Then you'll get a countercharge, but he's really good. If you have 3 of him on the board and you CB2 for a rewind, you get literally like 3 counterblast back. So he's a really good grade 1. 100% recommend picking up. Then this guy is, when placed on rear for that turn, gain 4k. Not really something I'm too crazy about. This is a cool card. When attacks the Vanguard for that battle, your opponent cannot guard with grade 0s. It's a grade 1 that tells your opponent PGs or else. PGs or else. I like it. I like it. This was a funny promo in English. This was available with like a magazine that was only printed in Singapore in English, and so you had to import it if you wanted it. But the skill is kind of whatever. It's like GB1 at the end of the battle boosted. Like you may discard 1 if you did draw 1. Why is this on GB1? Like what? Then we have this guy. When it boosts on GB1, it's a 9k booster. Then Upstream Dragon. So this card is really good in metas that are like removal heavy or disruption heavy, like when there's a lot of Messiahs, when there's like Chaos, when there's stuff like more Gear Chronicle and things like that. But in a meta where it's like Night Rose, Duos, Angels, he's not that good. The reason why is, of course, in his own skill. GB1, when attacks the Vanguard, you can give him, you may give him plus 4k. And if you do, if you gave him the plus 4k, at the end of that battle, he goes back to the deck and you call a grade 1 as rest. So this is essentially a card that clears out your front row for you and turns into a grade 1, like a GG or the grade 1 countercharger we looked at earlier. But when Time Leap comes out, we don't know what Time Leap does yet in Zero at the time of recording this, but this will be a way to fetch out your Melons, which will be cool. So that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice. It's a good card. It will be necessary in the future, so do pick it up. Some people do play this guy, the Rugaru. GB1 when placed on rear, counterblast 1 for that turn, get the following ability. When he attacks the Vanguard for that battle, your opponent cannot guard with grade 0s. So another PG or die, you know, just another guard restrict, so lots of guard restricts. This card is also played when placed on rear, GB1, gain 3k, so 12k attacker, but when placed on the rear. Also beautiful art, so she's going to be quite nice with time leap. I feel like maybe 2, because you can time leap into her from a grade 1 in the future, and then become a 12k attacker, so that's not too bad. Then we have the ability to play 8 Chrono Jets in the deck with Badifu, so he has a rearguard. Let's look at his Vanguard Circle skill first. When you stride over him for that turn, your Vanguard gets the following ability. Once per turn, +1, you can search a Chrono Jet Dragon from your deck and turn it into your heart, and then put this card from your heart back to the bottom of your deck. So that's the main reason you use this guy. Really, really good. Literally 8 Chrono Jets in a deck. And then his rearguard circle skill is also pretty nice. GB1 when attack hits a Vanguard, +1. Choose one of your opponent's front row rearguards and put it back to the bottom of the deck. So it's also a bot decker for like if they linger on a grade 3 or grade 1 in the front row, so I think it's quite nice. Alright, so up next we have this Legion grade 3 who does, like, you can't pull this guy. So the grade 2 basically says when his attack hits a Vanguard, if you're in Legion, +1, choose an opponent's grade 2 or lower rearguard and put it back to the deck, like put it back to the bottom of the deck. So it's alright, but this guy says once per turn, when your opponent's rearguard is put back to the deck by your card effect, if you're in Legion, for that turn gain the following ability. When attacks the Vanguard for that battle, when your opponent would guard with a perfect guard, they have to randomly discard a grade 3 or greater from their hand. If they don't, they cannot perfect guard. So it's, you know, basically glory, and it gets +3k if you have another unit in the middle column. So that's all right. We have this gear Colossus, Colossus. So Vanguard Circle GB1, you can put a grade 0 rearguard back to the bottom of your deck, and then search your deck for grade 3 and call it, and give it +5k. And then Vanguard Circle, when placed on Van, +1, +1, and then choose an opponent's grade 1 or lower rearguard and put it to the bottom of the deck. That's right. Sus Colossus. That's right, my favorite card. It's not actually that good, but you know, Colossus. Then Vanguard Circle GB1, +2, choose an opponent's rearguard, put it back to the bottom of the deck. Yes, okay. And Vanguard Circle gain 2k, so 30k attacker. Not really that great. This card is run by some people. Vanguard Rearguard Circle GB1 when it attacks, +1, gain 3k, so 14k attacker, 21 if you give it a 7k boost, which is alright. Then we have the Eruru, which is the new V-Series support for gears. Vanguard Circle GB1 for that turn, for each face-up card in your G-Zone, gain 3k. Whatever. And Vanguard Circle when placed, Soul Blast 1, call a card from hand, and then for that turn, one of your units gets +5k. So I guess it can help make magic numbers and stuff. And then we have the cat, the Gear Cat from set 2 originally. GB1, when your opponent's rearguard is put back to the deck by your card ability, you can put this card back to the deck as well, and then give one of your units +10k power. So it gets over a whole defensive, which is really, really nice, and I feel like this card might see some play in the future, but for now, it's nice, so just hold on to it, right? Just hold on to it. And then, next stage, one of the biggest nerfs in history for such an iconic card. You only need 2 of this. Do not go for 4, it is not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it. His skill is GB2. At the end of the battle, you attack the Vanguard. If your heart is a Chrono Jet, Blast 1, G Persona Blast, and discard 3. And then you put this unit back to your G-Zone and ride your Vanguard to stand and draw 2. 3 equals 2. So pretty unfortunate, because you essentially just lose a card by doing this. It's a -1, but it's a strong -1, right? It's a -1 that goes into a guard restrict, right? The Chrono Jet Dragon gets +5k from his GB2, which means that, you know, with enough boost, he can ask for more than a heal guard and ask for a nice little guard restrict, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So yeah, the legend in the set 6, it's a bit different, but yeah, so it's a 2 of, and as YJ Noob, there's a chance that for Gear Groovy you might need a 3rd, so I pulled 2, and then like the, you know, like end of the month GR guaranteed pack set thingy, yeah, I got the 3rd copy from there. So next stage is good, but just as a 2 of. Like, I think Ragnarok for the time being is better. So finally, let's finish up on Neo Nectar. So just 8 cards of support, not too much, no new starter either. We have this little frog, or thing, onion rather, it's an onion. GB1, start of your main phase, you can search your deck for an onion and call it. So onion that clones itself. This is literally the best art in the game ever created. You cannot argue otherwise. This is the 3 Apple siblings. When it boosts GB1 for that battle, you can, for each of your other like Apple brother, like himself or themselves, you get plus 2k. So strong booster, you know. Apples together strong. That's the new slogan. I love it. I love it. This card is pretty cracked. This is the Maiden of Lost Memory. Her art is really nice. GB1, so she's 8k power, but GB1, when her attack hits a Vanguard, you can counterblast 2. And for every unit that has the same name as this unit on your field, you draw 1. So if you have 3 of her on the field, you draw 3. And then for each if you have if you have another unit with the same name as this unit, countercharge 1. So counterblast 1 for like draw 2, draw 3, draw a lot, right? It's it's really good. You draw a lot, and in set 6 this gets even better because Thuria copies her name, so you can have even more. So it's pretty good. It's pretty good. She's really worth picking up, like genuinely really worth picking up because of the crazy draw power. 100% draw 6 exactly. Then we have the Sarianna. So this is the Glimmer Breath clone. GB1 when placed on rearguard circle. If you have a Vanguard that is grade 3 or greater with Ranunculus in its name, counterblast 1, soul-blast 1. Search your deck for a card that is the same name as one of your rearguards and give that unit plus 2. Sorry, and give this unit plus 2k for the turn. So it's pretty good. It's just a generic clone, like you clone anything, right, just by calling. So it's a plus 1. So you can also, I think, you cannot target her. It says your other rear guard, so fortunately doesn't clone herself. Would be pretty insane if you would allow that too. We have this guy, which is the Wisteria Knight. GB1 when he attacks the Vanguard, if you have another rear guard that is Wisteria Knight, for that battle this unit gets plus 2k in the following ability. When the attack hits, counterblast 1, draw 1. So it's alright. It's like I guess a budget version of this almost. You know, it doesn't draw as much, but it also doesn't counterblast as much, I guess. But 11k attacker, even if you don't use the counterblast skill, is an 11k attacker as long as you have 2 copies on the board, which I think is also quite nice. Then we have this, the Crystal Wing Dragon, not the Synchro monster, but the other Crystal Wing Dragon. Vanguard Circle GB1 once per turn, counterblast 1. For that turn, you give a unit of yours the skill that all of your units with the same name as that unit get plus 3k power. So yeah, you literally Axere Synchro and everyone gets plus 3k. It's very cool. And then you can you can put this card and a tuner into your drop zone to activate the skill in Vanguard Circle. Counterblast 1, soul-blast 1 to search your deck for a grade 2 or lower for a card that is the same name as one of your grade 2 or lower rearguards and call it. So yeah, Synchro Shokan into your Crystal Wing Dragon is great. But an actual good card is this Maiden of Flower Pistol. So her first skill is okay. It's like GB1. When your other rearguard is placed on the field for that turn, this unit and that unit share names. They become the same name, right? But forget that. Forget that skill even exists, because she has a second skill that is far more important than anything else. It's the magic word resist. Resist in Nectar. That's right. Resist in Nectar, and it's the first of many to come. Definitely very cool. And finally, the GR, of course, the Dream Spinning Ranunculus Asha. So this card got buffed in a really good way. First things first, during the beginning of your battle phase, if you have a rearguard with the same name as one of your rearguards, then for that turn, all of your front row gets plus 5k. So just have 2 clones, like 2 of the same thing, and your whole front row gets plus 5, which is cool. But she also says GB2 once per turn, G Personoblast. You can search your deck for a rearguard with the same name as one of your cards and call it. And for that turn, the unit gets plus 2k, and it can attack from the back row. Very good. 4 attacks consistently with no counterblast in Nectar. We like that a lot. We like that a lot. You can call it a Pia and make her huge and just attack. Just swing. Go crazy with it. So yeah, that is it. I think for Asha, optimally 4, the buff is really good. But if you're like me, like I'm gonna see how my set 6 pulls go before I decide to, craft the last one because it's a little bit, I don't want to craft GRs, you know, it always hurts. But it is a good card. I think you're fine with a 2 of. 3 of could also be fine with the set 6 Asha that comes out, but 4 is probably most optimal, but you can definitely get by with 2, so don't be too afraid to play Asha with just 2 copies. So yeah, guys, that is it. That is set 4, not 5, set 4. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at all of the cards in the set. I think overall it's a really cool set, very hype, a lot of really fun things come out of it, cool meta, angels get good, so I'm obviously happy about that. Best unit Gabriel is here too, and all the cool grade 4 forms are also very, very nice. But yeah, thank you to chat for also participating in today's video. Thank you to you, the viewers, for watching. If you liked the video, please do give it a like, and if you haven't already, please do subscribe. And yeah, as Fuzzy said, if you like what we do, come by to the stream. You can be part of videos like this in the future as well. It's always a good time. Turn on notifications so you can stay notified of when I go live, when I upload a video, all that good content creator stuff. But if you guys like the video, give it a like. As I said before, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. But otherwise, that's gonna be it for me today. Stay safe, watch out for each other, wash your hands, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.